spell audits, yes, there is another set of spells that they've changed for every school. Now, some schools, they got a very small change, but some schools actually got an insane change that might genuinely make spells that they've never used good in PvP. So I'm not going to say anymore. We're just going to go over them. I'm going to review them, talk about how they might affect PvP. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Storm and Myth probably got some of the smaller updates on this exact spell audit. Nothing too crazy changed for them. For Storm, the only real thing that changed is that Windstorm, instead of 20 to everyone, it does 25. So this is a very, very small change. Maybe if Team PvP becomes more relevant, we might actually see this being like a really big change. And Myth also got a very, very small change. Their main shift card looks just like the regular TC shift card. So instead of 4 pips, it's now 3 pips. Maybe if Myth runs Pip Conserve, I could see a 3 pip shift being radically different than a 4 pip shift. But the real nature of overtimes against Myth is that if you're going to use an overtime against them, it's probably because you have a really good follow-up, right? So yes, a 3 pip shift is nice. It's not really a game changer. Let's talk about balance real quick, my mans. They did do a few things. So one thing that they did compared to the video that we put out 2 days ago is that they did update the traps. So there was a 30 elemental trap. There's now a 30 spirit trap. But they did nerf Chimera, which I thought was very interesting. So now the 9 pip spell Chimera does less than 900 damage. Technically, Hydra does a lot more for 6 pips, but because it's based on the elemental schools, its damage per pip is on a different scale. Because the spirit schools are on average less, I think that's why per pip, Chimera is not as good of a hit. However, that being said, I think strategically this actually does make a lot of sense, because I think people are definitely always more likely to carry set shields for schools with higher damage per pip, so Storm and Fire. I don't think they're as likely to pack set shields, like 70 shields, for life and death. So yes, Chimera is a little bit weaker, but honestly, considering no one is really using it anyways, I really doubt this makes that much of a difference. I don't think they needed to touch it, but whatever. The big news here is that Balance now has donate power for 1 pip. So this spell used to not be 1 pip. It used to be really bad, actually. It used to be 3 pips to give a target 2 pips. So meaning you could never use it on yourself. You would always have to use it on somebody else. And as a spell, it makes no sense, because if you're going to use 3 pips to give someone 2 pips, you're basically losing a pip in total. Like, it made no sense. Now, essentially, what it's saying is that you can use a pip to give 2 pips to yourself. Now, what's interesting to me is that if you do Pip Conserve with this, could you actually go crazy with this? Could you have a power pip, Pip Conserve, and then essentially give yourself 3 pips? I was thinking of using Empower as a way to basically make sure that I am always ahead of the game. But now, I'm thinking instead of Empower, it's almost certainly better to use Donate Power. We're gonna have to see more about the spell. I don't think it's broken, because you are leaving yourself open. You would have to give up a total round of protection in order to use it. So, and it's only for 1 pip. So I'm curious to see how this is going to change things. I think it's just another interesting thing that Balance now has, and they might be able to use it. So this is one of the big changes, I think, and it really is going to matter a lot. Ice had 2 notable changes. One, again, it's a very team PvP oriented one, but it really, just like the Legion Shield change that we saw earlier, now we see another tool that they can use when they're in a team, which is they can remove a whole tick from a damage over time for 1 round. Now it's only 1 pip. It used to be 2, now it's only 1 pip. This is obviously a very team-oriented, you know, mechanic, but there are still certain uses that were not available in 1v1 that are available now. I might pack 1, just so, you know, just in case, because Burning Rampage can be very bad sometimes. I think the big deal is that Steel Ward is now 100% accuracy. That means that the treasure card is also 100% accuracy. So, if there was any reason not to put this in your side deck because you were scared of fizzling, that's no longer a thing. So that really means that this isn't really an ice buff as much as it is a balance buff. If you're on a balance and you use this, you can steal a tower, which is the only thing that can lower your damage, and you can gain a tower, which always protects you. So both with the Steel Ward change that we saw and the Donate Power, it seems like Balance got a huge buff with the spell audit. Fire got minimal changes, but the reason why I say that they got something a little bit better, at least, than Myth and Storm, is because of this Immolate chain. This basically used to do 250, now it does 200. I know what you're thinking. What is 50 damage going to do about anything? But I used to use this as a low level. It was actually very powerful. And the fact that if if it's a very close game, you can basically take just a little bit of damage, do a lot more damage to your opponent. Like, we're talking a lot more than Phoenix, for example. I could see this being an actual low-level spell that you could use. Another not-so-crazy change, Scald now does 525 instead of 495. Very, very small change. Nothing to write home about. I think for low-level PvP, this could be slightly better. I don't know. Maybe this is nothing, but I feel like there's something here, just a little bit. Life. I think this is the biggest buff out of all of the spell audits that we've seen, and we've been waiting for this, bro. Like, Life Wizards, if you have been waiting for this day, it has arrived. So the three big changes were Sanctuary is 2 pips, which is insane. That means the Circle of Thorns, it's just as good now as Sanctuary. So that means if you're going to be bubble